guys, welcome back to my channel. So it is time for another vlog month, which means I'm not going to be doing a TBR. Obviously it's November 7th and I still haven't done one. And we're going to do like me picking my reads for the month in very unique ways, and I'm going to vlog each of the books that I choose. So this one's going to be kind of interesting because it is November and my books that I wanted to read in 2024, I think I've read like half of them, and this year I did 20 books I wanted to read instead of 10. So I've read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 out of the 20. So I have about half that I still need to read, but then I also have, let's see, my book bingo, which is right here. I decided to do like a book bingo type of thing this year, and I have most of them completed except for short story collection, sports romance, finish a series, fated mates, bookish box book, or read a full series in a year. So those are some of the prompts that I need to do to complete this. If I do a fated mates, I can get a bingo right here. If I do fated mates, I can get a bingo in 2 places, which would be kind of cool. But the thing about that one is I don't know what books are fated mates. So I'm like, and I don't like to look that kind of stuff up in advance because I don't want to get too much information about the book. So I'm going to just hope that I get a fated mates, but I'm not going to like know for sure because I don't really know what books have that in it. But it would be great if I could get that one because I would have 2 bingos. This one, finish a series, I could get a bingo there. So I'm going to pick some books that fit these prompts, and then I'm also going to put all the books that I need to read in 2020 also in the pile. And then what we're going to do is we're going to narrow it down with the prompts in my TBR jar like we did a couple months ago. So it's going to be really fun, and I actually really like this narrowing my read down with the prompts. I think it's super, super fun, and I love being able to use my prompts more. So this is a fun way to do it. So I'm gonna go ahead and pick some books that kind of match these prompts and that are on my 2024 list. And we are going to start. Okay, you guys, so here are the books that I chose. A lot of these are obviously from my books I want to read in 2024, but there's some books in here that will actually be able to help me mark off things from my bingo and from my 24 books, or 20 books to read in 2024. Like Ruthless Vows is on my books I want to read in 2024, but it could also mark off the finish a series in a year. The only thing about this book is I don't know if I want to read it anymore. So if I get this one, then not only can I mark off 2 things, but I also have to force myself to try to read a book that I'm not super excited about. But in these videos, I want to be very open to DNFing because I don't get the choice really on what book I want to read. It's more so like whatever I pull out of my TBR jar. So if I do end up DNFing anything, that's why. Okay, so let's do the first pick. A romantasy. Okay, so there's a lot of fantasy in this pile here, and I'm kind of in the mood, honestly, for a romantasy right now. There's some romantasies I'm kind of feeling a bit more, but sadly they are not here on this list. But I think this is going to leave quite a few options, so let's see. So we have Carahamelief, which is a romantasy. The Love Hypothesis is not. 7 Days in June is not. Blood Orange, so this is a bookish box. This goes for my bingo. That is a romantasy. Love and Other Flight Delays. This is a short story collection for my bingo, but that is not a fantasy. The Wall of Winnipeg and Me. This was a sports romance. Court of Dreams. This is read an entire series in 1 year. So if I finish this one, I would have read this entire series in the year. Pen Pal. Does this count as a fantasy? I don't think so. Not fantasy. We've got Happy Place, which I don't think I'm in the mood for a Happy Place, if we're being honest. Okay, we've got The Book Thief. I was actually kind of wanting to read this, but whatever. In 5 years. I think this is probably more of like a magical realism, so I'm gonna put that aside. Maybe I'll keep some of these magical realism ones, just so we're not like throwing them out, everything out right off the bat. So Ruthless Vows. We have Kingdom of the Wicked by Carrie Maniscalco. This was on my books to read in 2024. And then One Dark Window, which was also books I wanted to read in 2024. So we have quite a few. Okay, so these are the final ones. So let's pick the next book. Double Up Prompts. Okay, this is going to be really weird, especially for this amount of books. Like, I don't know if anything is going to fit 2 prompts. because I don't have very many to choose from, but we'll see. We've got one, one, and same genre as your last read. So my last read was a romance, kind of fantasy elements, magical realism elements, and then 3 name author. So an author with 3 names and a romance. So all of these are romance. Is there any with 3 names? No. So none of these authors have 3 names. Book with foiling on the cover. Interesting. So this one's kind of cool because these are romanticises, and I feel like romanticises often have foiling. So this one does not. Blood Orange does have foiling, and it also has foiling right here as well. Beautiful. Okay, Caraval. Is this foiling? No, it's just very shiny. It has foiling here. I'm going to count that. I'm going to say either foiling on the front cover of the dust jacket or the front cover of the actual book. This does have foiling right here, so that's pretty. This I wouldn't say is foiling. It's just like gold, but it's not foiling. This does not have foiling on the front cover. So Kingdom of the Wicked is out. This does not have foiling. Again, it does have gold, but it's not actual foiling. Oh, it has foiling right there. Okay, that one's in still. Oh, and this one has foiling. A lot of these have foiling. Like, I'm really surprised by that. A book I am so excited to read. Interesting. Okay, not this one. I'm not really all that excited to read that one. One Dark Window, I used to be a bit more excited. No, I would say I'm pretty excited about this one. I've heard mixed things, but I feel like that's pretty common when a book gets like really, really popular, right? Like a lot of people say really good things, but if it gets popular enough, there's going to be people that say not so good things. So you're going to get more opinions when the book is more popular, and I feel like that's how this one is. But I'm still excited to read because I've heard such amazing things about it. And then Caraval, this one I'm excited to read only because I loved Once Upon a Broken Heart series so much. So I am excited for that one. I'm really excited for this one because I just think it's so gorgeous and I'm in the mood for something like this. So I'm going to pick that one. I think right now, this one I'm not super, super excited about at this very moment. And the only reason I say that is because I just read a like contemporary romance with like magical elements in it. But I'm still kind of excited for it in general, but I'm going to take this one out. Okay. This is taking longer than I thought it was going to take. I don't think I picked this many prompts last time. Gold or silver on the naked cover. Okay. So this has orange. That's not gold or silver. So that does not count. This has gold on the naked cover. And this has purple on the naked cover. Or sorry, blue, not purple, on the naked cover. So the only one that has gold on the naked cover is One Dark Window. This one it is. One Dark Window is the book I'm going to be reading next. So I'll be able to mark off a book from my top 20 books I want to read in 2024 because that's the list it was on. I won't be able to mark off any bookish bingo unless it's Fated Mates. I don't know if this book is a Fated Mates type of book. It might be. Don't tell me if it is, but I may be able to mark that off if this has anything to do with Fated Mates. We'll see. I doubt it. I feel like the Fated Mate thing is usually in like Fae type of things, or like, is this Fae related? I don't think it's Fae related, but it sounds interesting. How many pages is this? 396, so almost 400 pages. Okay, this is the book I'm going to be reading. That is it. I will see you in the vlog, and I will let you guys know what I think. Okay, you guys, so it is like golden hour right now, which is very beautiful, but kind of annoying when you're trying to film a video. So please ignore that, but I want to talk a little bit about One Dark Window. So I am 100 pages in, and so far I am liking this. And at first, actually, when they introduced the nightmare in her head, I think is what it's called, like the nightmare, I thought that was going to be the love interest, actually, and I still have theories on it, which you guys are probably going to laugh if you guys have read this book. Like, there's a lot of, like, theories that you can come up with, I feel like, at the beginning of this book, and, like, what everything is and like how everything is connected and stuff. But I literally thought like the nightmare was going to be like a human guy and he was like stuck in her brain or something. But then I was like, that's kind of weird though, because she was like a little kid when he was like stuck in her brain. So I don't know if that would be kind of weird or not. But I'm like, he's gonna like become human and they're gonna like get together. And who knows, maybe that's still gonna happen. But like obviously Raven is also kind of like a love interest. So I'm trying to figure out like how the cards are like connected to Raven and what's her name? Elspeth, I think is her name. And like there's a part of me that feels like this might be like fated mates or something. Like the fact that he can like speak into her head, like that's obviously a very fated type of thing. Like Farrah and Reese did that, you know? But at the same time, I don't know. But I'm wondering if maybe he has like similar powers, like the twin cards or something. Like are they the twin cards or something like that? I don't know. But I have a feeling that maybe this is like a fated type of thing. I don't know though. I could be totally wrong. I love how creative this is, like the Providence cards and the magic system. I think it's really, really, really unique. And I love how, you know, the people that have magic got an illness and the illness gives them their magic, but then they like deteriorate over time. But so far, I think this is really good. I love the story. I think it's such an interesting world. But anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and just jump into this book and read a little bit more, and then I'll update you guys more about it later. Okay, so here's my prediction. I think that the monster in her head is the spirit of the wood, and he is using her to try to get all the cards, right? Because she can see the cards. So she's kind of like the spirit of the woods, like, you know, servant, like he made her or like went into her mind specifically for this purpose. So she is trying to get the cards for him. She doesn't know that yet though. So what I think is going to happen is she is going to be like the ultimate sacrifice, because she also has the blood in her veins as well. So she needs to collect the cards. She has the blood and she also has the spirit of the wood. And I think that she's also maybe the twin alders card or something. Like maybe that is her, or like, I don't know. I don't know about the twin alders card yet, but I know that it's all going to come down onto her. You know what I mean? And I think that at the end, obviously, like there's going to be this big scene where she almost dies, but she doesn't die, obviously. But like, that's what I think is going to happen. We'll see though. Okay, so I'm reading this book right now. And one thing that I will say that's very important is they mention different Providence cards multiple times in this book. And if you haven't read it, each Providence card has like a different magical power. So there's like the well card, there's the chalice, and each card or each type of card has different magical abilities. But there's a lot of different ones. I've had to go back to this one specific page multiple times, and it is, let's see, 81. Tab this page, this paragraph right here on page 81, tab it, and make sure that you highlight it, because I've had to turn back to this page multiple times. If you look here, you can see all the different Providence cards and what their magic power is exactly, and it's going to help you a ton. Hey guys, so I just finished this book, One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. So I feel really bad because I actually didn't update you guys very often, but what was weird about reading this book is I just didn't really know what to say in updates. Like I kept thinking, oh, I need to update them and like let them know what I'm thinking about it. But like, I didn't really know what to say, really. And I don't know why that is. Like, I wish I could explain that, but I can't. And it's not that I wasn't liking the book. That's not what it was at all. I was actually really, really intrigued by this book. And one of my favorite things about this book was the magic system. It was really unique and not like anything I'd read before as far as magic goes. I loved seeing like the different Providence cards. I really liked seeing how they all worked. I liked seeing, you know, how the degeneration would happen and that like they couldn't use their magic too much, which I really, really liked, because I hate it when like magic is too accessible, because it almost feels like, you know, you could just use magic for everything and like the whole story wouldn't matter anyways because you're just using magic the whole time. I felt like with this one there was a reason why they weren't using their magic all the time. I actually read a lot of reviews on this after I got done finishing it, and it's interesting because I feel like this book is, as much as it's hyped up, like this book is hyped. I feel like it's more of a split book than you would think just because there is so much hype on it, and I feel like it's one of those books where you either really love it, but then there's a lot of people that did not like it at all, and I saw a lot of people saying that it was really boring. Now, I actually loved it. I think I'm going to give this book a 4 stars. I think that there were parts of it that felt very world buildy, just not as action-packed. And I think going into fantasy, it's important to realize that you are going into a fantasy. There is going to be world building in it. Like, not every single scene is going to be like this, like, breakneck nail-biting scene, you know what I mean? And I feel like at the beginning of this book it was a little bit on the slower side, but I think if you really like the world, then you're not going to mind the pacing. And for me, I really liked the world, so I didn't really mind the pacing all that much, but if the world doesn't interest you, then you're probably not going to like it. The other thing that I actually found interesting is this isn't as romancy as I thought it was going to be, which is totally fine, but I think it's important to know, like if you haven't read this yet, like there is a romance in this book for sure, and I did like the romance. I loved Raven, I loved Elspeth, I thought they were great, but I wouldn't say that this book is just for the romance. There's a huge other plotline going on, and I feel like it's more fantasy focused first, with the side plot being a little bit more romance, and because of this I did feel a little bit detached from the relationship between Raven and Elspeth. I kind of wish that like I got a little bit more, I think, of their own individual personalities. I think that could have helped a lot. This book is very plot driven, I feel like, and because of that they don't focus so much on character development as much, and I feel like if she would have had more development of each of those characters, Raven and Elspeth, separately, I think I could have seen them kind of come together more as a couple, and I would have kind of appreciated it more, or I wouldn't say believed it, like I believed it, but I just wanted to feel it more. It wasn't really passionate, it almost felt a little bit more casual. I think it could definitely get like that in future books, but I wouldn't say that their romance was like top tier. You know, if you're looking for that in a book, I wouldn't say theirs is like the absolute best, but it was still really cute. And the interesting thing about it is I loved the characters as like a group. You know what I mean? I wouldn't say this is like super found family, but it's kind of like you have the different characters and they're all kind of working together for one end goal. And I really love that dynamic because I love seeing all the different personality types. And it's interesting because I almost liked that dynamic more. Like I loved seeing them as a group working together, and I really loved Elm. Elm is one of my favorite characters because he's very nuanced. Like he doesn't have full trust in Elspeth. He's kind of skeptical, he's a little uncertain, but the thing about him that kind of counteracts that is he's extremely loyal. And so he has like those two things kind of fighting against each other in this book, and I found his character so interesting because it's not that he didn't like Elspeth. He did, but he was also very skeptical, and he was kind of the only one that was a little bit uncertain the entire time, and I really loved that aspect of his character. And it's interesting because I tend to really love side characters in books, almost more so than like the main love interest. Like I do love the main love interest, but there's something that always gets me about the side characters. Like the best friend of the main love interest in the book, I always love them, and that's how I feel about Elm. Like I'm rooting for Elm, like he's just so interesting. Even though her character development wasn't the greatest of all time, I still really enjoyed learning about each of the characters, even though we just got little tiny snippets. But I do wish and hope that in the next book she kind of dives maybe a little bit more deeper into the actual characters, and it might make me feel a little bit stronger for like Raven and Elspeth's relationship, and just it'll make me feel so much more for this group of characters that I already am developing feelings for. I just want a little bit more. So I personally really love this book. I'm so glad I read it. I want to read the second one right away. Sometimes when I read first books in a series, I'm kind of like, oh, I'll read the second one someday. But this is one that I definitely want to jump into soon and quickly because I'm really interested to see where it goes. So that's a really good sign, because sometimes I can put, you know, second books off or series off for a really long time because it just doesn't feel like a super strong pull, but this one definitely does. So I really like this, you guys. I'm gonna give it 4 stars. I wasn't quite 5, but I'm hoping that the next book will be really good. And I've heard that the second book is actually way better, not way better, but it's better, and the second book is actually a lot of people's favorite out of the duology. Let me know in the comments what you guys thought of this book. Did you like it? Did you DNF it? Did you not understand the hype? Or were you totally on the hype train? Did you like this book? I'd be really curious to know, but hopefully I talked you into reading this if you haven't read it yet, and I will see you guys in my next video. Bye.